Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new album video. This week, we're taking a look at Ramones by the Ramones, so self-titled debut here. First released April 23rd, 1976. Some notable tracks off this album include Blitzkrieg Bop, 53rd and 3rd, Beat on the Brat, and Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue. Got some notes here about this album. We're going to go through that. We're going to talk about the track list and how I came to end up actually listening to this album. So let me grab my notes here. Like I said, first release April 23rd, 1976. Apparently, the Ramones were playing a show at CBGB's, kind of just an iconic music venue in New York City. I don't think it's unfortunately there anymore. I think, well, the building, I think, like the actual structure is there, but I don't think it's no longer a music venue. I think it was music related up until about 2006, and I think it's like a store now or something else entirely. But I think it was around until there's some kind of iteration until 2006. I don't think it was a club anymore, but it was still somewhat related to music, at least according to the research I was doing for this. But discovered Lisa Robinson discovered them at CBGB's. Basically got in contact with them. Basically, apparently really liked their music, and was kind of the one that kind of found them, and then definitely was just a fan and got them kind of started. This cover here, the album cover, is iconic. It's just the members of the band just leaning up against a wall somewhere in New York City. It's just an iconic, very iconic album cover. It's been like imitated like many times. Like other bands have done very similar photos, but just looks amazing in black and white. Apparently, they only paid for like to get everything set up. It was $125 for the photo, but now, like I said, it's an iconic, often imitated photo. There is a quote here from Joey Ramone about them getting discovered. Let me pull that up really quick here. Because yeah, it's an interesting show about Lisa. So yeah, Joey Ramone, basically they were playing that show at CBGB's. Lisa Robinson happened to just be there, and Joey Ramone has a quote about her. It was this quote: "Lisa came down to see us. She was blown away by us. She said that we changed her life. She started writing about us in rock scene, and then Lenny K would write about us, and we started getting more press, like the Village Voice. Word was getting out, and people started coming down. And then basically, that's kind of how they met her, and how kind of like they were playing music prior to her seeing them, but then she definitely helped them get more exposure, and then eventually helped them, like get like into the music industry where they were actually like recording music and that kind of things. Um, yeah, it shows Lisa then also contacted Danny Fields, who I think at the time was the former manager of the Stooges, to basically be their manager. So Danny Fields ended up taking them on as clients. They recorded the album at Plaza Sound. I think it was in the Radio City Music Hall. It took them about a week to record the album, and it cost $6,400 to record it. I don't know like what that would be like adjusted for inflation, but they definitely had a lot of like budget kind of restraints on there. But they definitely said they kind like all the time that they had on the album, it's kind of all the time they needed to get it completed. So like it's a very short album. It's like maybe like 30 minutes if that. But very very short songs, but it kind of is just like in that classic punk rock style where you have, you don't need 3 or 4 minutes for a song. Sometimes 2 minutes is enough. Sometimes it's maybe even less than that. So it's a very short album, but I think it's a very effective album. Like they don't like pad the album out with like a bunch of like unnecessary tracks. They don't drag the tracks out. The tracks are the length that they are, and I think it's kind of perfect. So like again, recorded at Plaza Sound for like $6,400, about a week to do it. The reason I even kind of know who the Ramones are, at least to start, was from the I don't remember what season it was. It was maybe the second, maybe third season of The Simpsons, where Mr. Burns is a big birthday party. Spillers has the Ramones play, and they do their thing, and they're like go to hell you old bastard or whatever the line was, and then Spiller or Mr. Burns is then like have the Rolling Stones killed, which is just it's a classic scene, just showing that Mr. Burns has no idea who these guys are. Um, they don't even like they're not the Rolling Stones. It's just like a classic Simpsons moment, and that's kind of how I know who the Ramones are. I ended up choosing this album because I ended up telling a friend of mine about this project, being like, "Hey, I'm gonna listen to a bunch of new albums this year, or albums that are at least the very least new to me." And I knew he was a big Ramones fan or a huge Ramones fan, and I'm like, "Hey, which Ramones album should I do for this series?" And he thought about it for a little bit. He's like, "Oh, do their first one. Just do Ramones because it's got Blitzkrieg Bop on there. It's got Beat on the Brat on there, and it's just a very good starting point for their music." So that's what I went with. Streamed it on Apple Music. Like I said, very short album, like maybe 30 minutes at the most, but a very like effective album. We're gonna go through and bring up the track list here. We scroll down to that. All right, so here we have our track list. Yeah, like let's say the total length, yeah, 29 minutes and 4 seconds. So like under half an hour, but 14 tracks. A couple tracks here are like I think like a minute 30 is like the shortest track. Yeah, so a minute 30 is the shortest, with the longest being is it? Um, I don't want to go down to the basement. I think might be the longest one. Let's see. We have one that's 212, 230, 235, 219. Yeah, it looks like I don't want to go down to the basement. It's probably the longest. But yeah, again, 12 tracks, 29 minutes. Track one is Blitzkrieg Bop. That's kind of the only song I knew off of this album. And I mostly knew that because I think that one showed up. Like, I wouldn't be able to, up until 2001, I don't think I had even heard like a Ramones song. I probably had heard a Ramones song, but didn't know it was a Ramones. Aside from like the little interaction on The Simpsons. I think Blitzkrieg Bop was actually on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. That's kind of like the first song I heard from them. And then I also know of like I Want to Be Sedated, but that's off a different album. But anyway, track one is Blitzkrieg Bop. Track two is Beat on the Brat. Track three is Judy is a Punk. Track four is I Want to Be Your Boyfriend. Track five is Chainsaw. Track six is Now I Want to Stick Some Glue. Track seven is I Don't Want to Go Down to the Basement. And then onto the second side of the album, track 8 is Loudmouth. Track 9 is Havana Affair. Track 10 is Listen to My Heart. Track 11 is 53rd and 3rd. Track 12 is Let's Dance, which is a Chris Montez cover. Track 13 is Track 13 is I Don't Want to Walk Around with You. And track 14 is Today Your Love, Tomorrow the World. Again, 14 tracks, 29 minutes in length. I think there is an expanded edition of the album. I haven't listened to that one. The expanded edition goes up to about 43 minutes. So it adds in like some demos and things like that. So there's like like a demos for I Want to Be Your Boyfriend, Judy's a Punk, I Don't Care, I Can't Be. Don't think those are off the album. Those demos of those. Track that then there's like some demos of Now I Want to Stick Some Glue. I Don't Want to Be Learn, Don't Want to Be Tamed. It's a demo as well. And then a single version of Blitzkrieg Bop. So 2001, there's an expanded edition. A lot of it is the same, some of the same tracks, but demo versions of those tracks. And then a few other songs that weren't on the original album. The only one that I listened to so far for this video was the original. I might go through and listen to that expanded edition at some point, and then probably some of their other music. But like my friend was saying, if you're gonna do a video like this for the Ramones, just start with the first album and kind of go from there. So that's what we did. Had a really good time listening to it. I've actually listened to, I think, not quite a bit, but definitely a few punk albums so far this year. Some new, some old. But yeah, this is one that I had not heard before. Like I said, I had heard of the Ramones, and I had heard I Want to Be Sedated and Blitzkrieg Bop. Those are like the only two songs I was familiar with. But I definitely might check out some more stuff from them at some point. But that's going to do it for this video. We'll be back again in a week from now with a totally new album. No idea what that's going to be just yet, but I've been listening to a lot of music this year, a lot of new music as well. So we'll definitely have something lined up for next week. But again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.